All right then, so let's understand the brief introductions about your the web development. So let's see the concepts that we are going to cover in this is it's all about our HTML5, CSS3, and vanilla JavaScript, JS, right? These are the things that we are going to cover in it. So we all know that HTML, what's the purpose of the HTML? HTML, we all know that it's the hypertext markup language, hypertext markup language. So basically, this is the main wireframe. This helps us to construct the main wireframe of our website. For a main, this is just a skeleton of your website. Then what's the styling? So CSS, which helps us to construct the stylings, which is called cascading style sheet. So this will helps you to make your website to looks like more materialistic designs, right? And JavaScript, then what is the purpose of the JavaScript? JavaScript is the purpose of you can say like validations and actions. So just with the designs we can't do anything. We need to do some actions, and when you're doing some actions we need to do some validations too. So JavaScript is used for the validations and for the actions, right? These are the three texts that we are going to discuss in this particular part. Okay, so now first of all we need to understand the very much basics of the website. So what is the URL? We all know that URL, right? URL, so this is the place where we used to call as a URL the browser part, and this is the thing. So URL is nothing but this uniform resource locator, right? This is the uniform resource locator. Let me to explain you what the uniform resource locator means. So we used to type this, right? www.google.com. To be more specific, https://www.google.com. So we all know that this is just an hyperlink. We used to say it's an URL, but this is called as an hyperlink, right? So this Google is just a name of the company. That's the domain name, right? That's the name, but the name will always map to a very specific IP address, something like this. So, but we can't able to memorize these IP addresses. So that's the reason the service provider will always map these IP addresses to this very specific domain name, right? So this URL will helps us to locate this very specific IP addresses just by using these hyperlinks, right? That's the reason we are using this URLs. So now let's understand this IP, this very specific link in a brief way. So what does it mean by HTTP and HTTPS? So basically HTTP or HTTPS is both are, it's hypertext transfer protocol. Both the hypertext transfer protocol, and this is the secure one, right? So every time whenever you are using any specific websites, you need to make sure that your connection is highly secured or not. If you're working with your banking transactions and all those things, you should check these connections secure. If it is not secure, you should not provide your financial information or anything at all. And if you want to check their certificate, this is the digital certificate which is provided by the service providers. You need to make sure this digital certificate is valid or not. If it is not valid, you should not type any of your sensitive informations. All right. Then, and what is this W? Of course, we all know that this WW means World Wide Web. World Wide Web. This is the organizations who managing the entire websites in this world, right? So these guys, with the help of the service providers like GoDaddy and Hostinger and so on, those peoples are providing the domain services, naming services. So we need to purchase the domain name from them, and they will be registered under this www, right? So then in this part, this Google, that, as I said, that's the domain name. That's the domain name. It can be anything. If you open the godaddy.com and you can register yourself a domain name with your name itself, but you need to pay for the services. Then over here, this .com is nothing but the category, on which category that you are planning to launch your website. So category, that's the important thing. So basically category, it's the .com is the commercial thing. It's for commercial purposes. .net for network, .info for informations, .biz for businesses, and .mil for military, and .edu for education, and so on. There are lots and lots of categories. Just you have to choose it wisely, which suits for you, right? And these are all just a very basics informations. Now, how exactly the website is been working? So basically, a website will works is based on the REST request and response, right? Request and response. As a client, I'm writing a request, and as a server, it's responding to my request. So I'm getting a response from the server. So here, let me open this. So let's say, assume this is your server. Oops, not this one. Assume this is your server, and these are the clients, right? These are the clients. So now from the client, I'm sending a request to the server through where? Through this URL. Through this URL, I'm sending a request, and the server will collect this URL, and the request, whatever I passed through this URL, it will be collected in the server, and it will be sends the response to the same place where we got. And as a developer, we used to get this server's response, and we used to display it in our website. So all these things will happen just by using this APIs, application programming interfaces. Application programming interface through this, right? These are this with the help of the API, we used to send the request and we got the response, and we update our site frequently based on the performance or based on the requirements. So this is what happening basically in a website, right? So there are lots and lots of frameworks available out there. You can choose whatever the framework that you are comfortable with, but if you wish to develop a website, you should have a strong idea in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that is all about this course. So we're going to make ourselves strong in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and build ourselves a portfolio by using the technologies we learned. So we're going to learn a lots of designs and how to do the DOM manipulations and how to make a materialistic UI and so on. So without wasting your time further, let's jump into the next session.